I'm sorry about that. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. So I don't know what happened to that video. It basically crashed and burned. Welcome to my day. Thank you, Google. More Google. Okay. So how I wanted to talk about this is, as you know, over the weekend, Zack Snyder's Justice League premiered on HBO Max. I watched it. My review will be coming out hopefully within the next day. And I personally loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a promising film for what the future could hold in regards to the Snyderverse. And I loved it. I was super happy. But what I've been seeing the last couple of days is a lot of chatter that Warner Brothers, if it's super successful, will continue the Snyderverse, or that they will remove Patty Jenkins from doing Wonder Woman 3 and give it to Zack Snyder, which is a PR nightmare, people. PR nightmare. And today I watched one of the YouTube content creators talk about how, well, clearly it's dead because Warner Brothers has come out and said it's dead. And then they did something that I was so floored at, is they blamed Ray Fisher. They essentially said if the allegations had never happened and we didn't have hurt feelings, maybe we would have gotten to see the rest of Snyder's vision. And I thought to myself, this is not how Hollywood works. This is not how Hollywood works ever. And if you guys have any questions or comments, please ask away. Zack Snyder walked away from a film because he was tired of dealing with Warner Brothers and their wanting to change his central vision, which is also crazy because he would have written close to a 300-page script that would have been submitted to the execs at Warner Brothers, which means they would have read it, they would have seen it, and they still signed off on it, but somehow they still punished him for the film that he set out to make. And that's a whole nother video and a whole nother discussion, but that's just how Hollywood works. We've seen it with so many tentpole films. We see directors leave Marvel movies all the time because of creative differences. We saw Colin Trevorrow remove from Rise of Skywalker. We saw how that turned out over creative differences. So this is something that does happen. But the idea that Warner Brothers was going to wait to see how the Snyder Cut did on HBO Max before continuing with his universe is crazy. Warner Brothers had nothing to do with the Snyder Cut. I think that's something we have to get out first and foremost. AT&T paid $70 million for Zack Snyder to finish his film the way he wanted to finish it. Warner Brothers did not want to do any of this. Now, the reason why this is happening is because AT&T is in the streaming business. Warner Brothers has not actually, I would argue, put the might behind HBO Max they could. There's still 2 HBO apps, which is crazy. There should only be 1, HBO Max. They cost the exact same price. Just sell 1 to people. You don't need to sell 2. Disney Plus isn't selling Disney Plus and Disney Plus Plus. They're selling Disney Plus. So AT&T wants content to drive a subscriber base. So what do? They go, there's this thing on the internet that everybody talks about in the nerd, comic, whatever community, and that is the Snyder Cut. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to put the Snyder Cut on HBO Max and drive subscriptions to HBO Max because that's what we're in the business of doing. Now, this person who reported on what will happen next with Zack Snyder's Snyderverse talked about how if Justice League was super big on HBO Max, that you would actually see his vision continued. What are you talking about? AT&T is not going to drop $700 million before P&A on a film that people might sign up for their subscription service once to watch and then cancel their service and go back to HBO. Because most people, I think, don't actually look at what is on content. Everybody knows that everything is on Disney Plus. Disney Plus blasted it for months that everything you've ever wanted to watch that has the name Disney in front of it will be on the Disney Plus app. HBO has not literally shoved down our collective throats that you get Turner Classic Movies, you get Studio Ghibli, you get Comedy Central, you get Adult Swim, you get all of this stuff. They haven't done that. So most people think, well, it's just HBO, and it says Max. Why do I care? I'll just key to HBO and continue watching Game of Thrones. It's on there. So AT&T, needing subscribers, pushed Warner Brothers to make sure the Snyder Cut happened. That's not something Warner Brothers wanted to do. And Warner Brothers is not in the Snyder business any longer. Look at Aquaman. There are so many things that happen in Aquaman that kind of happen, if not happen, in Justice League, the Snyder Cut, that you're just treading water. We've left that universe, whether you are happy about that or not. The Snyder universe is dead now, which makes me sad because I really loved this version of Justice League and would really love to see this version continue. But we're not going to get that right now. And I think that's actually okay. I personally would love to see them maybe continue in comic books or in animated form, but that's another total video. But the idea that some of the people on YouTube that are journalists are promoting is that if this movie does exceptionally well, we'll get more Zack Snyder Justice League movies. Or he'll direct Wonder Woman. Or maybe if Ray Fisher hadn't complained about on-set treatment, we'd still be getting Zack Snyder. No. Batman vs. Superman made under $900 million worldwide. Justice League made under $700 million worldwide. Shazam did not do great. Birds of Prey did not do great. The only movie to follow up Justice League that was a global hit is Aquaman. We can have a discussion all day about how Wonder Woman 84 is either good or bad. But the Snyderverse ended, and it's not going to continue. Because at the end of the day, it's about money. Somebody else reported the other day that Kevin Feige is a little nervous about the Marvel series because of how fans reacted to WandaVision. That is such bahooey. I don't even know where to begin on that one. Kevin Feige doesn't care about how fans reacted to WandaVision. Kevin Feige looks at the end game. The end game is where we're going to go. Fans loved Iron Man. Fans were indifferent to the Incredible Hulk. And I think we all can agree, DC or Marvel fans or not, Iron Man 2 is a pretty terrible film. Yet, we're 23 films into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and each one of them is, in some way, a huge hit. And that's also frustrating from a Warner Brothers standpoint, because Warner Brothers is looking at dollar amounts when Marvel has plenty of films starring high-tier characters now that haven't been global successes. Ant-Man and the Wasp and Ant-Man have not been billion-dollar films. People don't realize that Iron Man, later Captain America, the Avengers films, Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Guardians of the Galaxy. Those have been billion or close to billion-dollar films. But the rest of the Marvel films haven't, and Thor Ragnarok. So Warner Brothers is in the game of these movies have to make $1 billion to justify their cost instead of the long con, which is what they escaped from. As I said, I would love to see Zack Snyder's universe continue deeply, but it's not going to happen. AT&T is not going to drop $700 million before P&A on a movie that may or may not do well on their streaming platform. Warner Brothers is no longer in the Zack Snyder business. They've moved away. They're going to continue doing other movies. We already know Henry Cavill is probably not coming back as Superman. They're really only going to be keeping Gal Gadot. We saw Michael Keaton today, kind of iffy on doing the Flash movie. I'm sure Ben Affleck is also iffy on doing the Flash movie. God only knows what's happening with the Flash movie. So Warner Brothers is not in that business. But what I think we should take from it as fans is that we did get a movie we wanted to see. And it was infinitely better than the film we got in 2017. And I think that is the real story, is that we were able to get a film that we craved, and now we're good. Because honestly, at the end of the day, any studio, Disney, Warner Brothers, Marvel, Lucasfilm, Sony, whatever, they're in the business of making money, and they're in the business of making movies that are accessible to a wide range of people. And the Snyderverse, as much as we can talk about the highs and the lows of it, are accessible to a more narrow audience, which is why Warner Brothers is essentially done. They want more Aquaman. They want less Birds of Prey. And as I said earlier, I think the idea of blaming Ray Fisher or even putting forth the story that if he hadn't brought up his concerns and allegations of how Joss Whedon treated the cast and crew, which has been backed up by Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa, to say that if you come forth in that kind of environment to say what you're doing is wrong, and then we as people don't get what we think we should get, and therefore we should blame that person, is not a narrative anybody should be spreading. It's kind of like the narrative that I've been seeing a lot of people doing lately, where they're kind of tying in Autumn Snyder's death with essentially thanking her for her experience and what she went through, because now we have Justice League. I've seen quite a few people tie in her death to all of a sudden Zack Snyder is a real artist because he understands pain. And I almost want to break my computer screen, because that negates Autumn Snyder's pain and what she went through as a person who was suffering from depression. And it negates the family's pain that they're still probably going through in regards to her death. So anytime I see anybody on YouTube or anybody on the web basically ties Zack Snyder's internal pain in his daughter's death on why all of a sudden he was able to make a good movie, I want to find those people and smack them until the sun doesn't shine. Because it's just so disingenuous to people's pain. It drives me crazy. But the reason why I did this today is because I've seen so much stuff today talking about how now we've lost the Snyderverse. And I just want to say that we were not going to have the Snyderverse, and that's just end of story. Because this was our one-off. And it's frustrating because we don't know what will happen next, and we want to know what will happen next, and we were excited what will happen next, outside of the Bruce Wayne is the father of Lois's baby storyline. That might have done the end. That's not a thing. We have reached this area in this world and in this series that we should just be done. Hold Warner Brothers accountable for what they do next. Hold them accountable for what they do with these characters, because we can all agree they don't know what to do with these characters. We can all agree that unless it's called Batman, they have no idea what to do with really any of these characters. And that's really super frustrating. And I think as fans, we should hold Warner Brothers accountable for making these characters as great as they are. Listen, I have Disney and I have Marvel and I have all this stuff around me, but my favorite characters are DC. And I really want to see them treated amazingly. So as fans, let's hold that accountable as opposed to demanding something that we're just not going to get. Because, you know what? Zack Snyder's done enough for us. I think we should just let him rest. That's just my thought. All right, you guys are all amazing. Any of you that watch this, I'm sorry if it went on too long and I rambled too much. But you know what? I love this stuff. I really, really do. It makes me happy, as we can see by my room. Ignore that thing. It's for the cat litter. I have 3 somewhere in this house. You guys continue being amazing. Continue being fucking incredible fans. And yeah, let's continue enjoying movies and all this stuff that we finally get to watch. Because in all honesty, if you had told my 11-year-old self that I would have seen the Justice League, I would have thought you were crazy. I will talk to you guys all next time.